So welcome to the Coach Mike podcast.
Thank you so much for having me.
I feel privileged
Thank you.
because I heard that this is the only podcast you're doing for Open Book as of now.
I mean, as of now, it's definitely my first. And I love podcasts, so especially inspirational ones.
Yeah, and I love your book. And
Thank
your
you.
book could have been 20 books.
It really could. I mean, it really could.
If it was a buffet, it would be the Rio buffet. It's got so much to it.
It does.
And it's everything from jokes to jumping for Jesus to sadness to you getting really honest. And I really appreciate you writing this book. It's going to help millions of people.
I really hope so. Thank you.
And being that you didn't have to do this, you didn't have to write a book. Why'd you do it?
Well, in my heart, I felt like I had to.
Okay.
It really was like, for me, I just wanted my words out there to be understood. I wanted, like, as a person, you know, that's on a platform, I wanted to be able to use my voice and use my mistakes and use the pain and show that there's beauty on the other side. And I just wanted to be as authentic and as real and human as possible because, you know, that's what the reality show had done for me. Like, I was basically like sitting on the couch with everybody in their homes.
Right.
And I realized that that's what people really want from me. They want the honest truth and they want that vulnerability from me.
Was there anything that you were like, this cannot go in the book? You initially wrote it and then you're like,
No, I was pretty honest about everything.
Right.
There was nothing in my life, and I, you know, not in my past relationships, but like with, you know, my parents and everybody was like, all my friends, they were reading chapters as they were being written. And
Right.
I just wanted to make sure that the people in my life were being protected and that they felt, you know, connected to it, which they did. And there was nothing that they needed to take out. So that made me feel good.
And you know, I'm sober myself. So I'm coming up on 18 years.
Congratulations.
Thank you. And I own a treatment center for the past 14. It's called
That's
Cass
amazing.
Centers.
Wow.
And what I admire is I always say recovery is a loose garment. Everyone has a different fit.
Yeah.
Talk to me about your fit.
My fit was a lot of therapy. For me, giving up the alcohol was the easy part because I was mad at it.
Right.
I didn't realize for so long that it was actually blinding me in so many ways. And it was having me cover up and like a lot of things in my life and not being honest with myself. And it was causing actually more anxiety that I thought I was trying to suppress. And so when I came to that like realization, that it actually kept me very stuck in a very, you know, dark place that I could not get out of. Once I freed myself from it, I was mad at it and I was done with it. So really just sticking with the therapy and using the tools that I have for anxiety, which are like going on long walks with my husband and just like, he has no judgment, just as a therapist would. I just kind of just ramble thoughts and he lets them go. And just somehow he can like let me talk without a filter and
no
still
judgment.
Yeah. And
he
still,
loves you for you.
He loves me for me and he loves me for my vulnerability and my bravery and my honesty. And if my perspective is off on things, you know, he knows how to help me get back on the right track and to my thought process and to the reason why I'm doing what I'm doing and to not have discouragement.
So what's something that you and Eric, because I've met your husband and he's great.
He is.
He is a superstar in your life.
Yes, he is. He is the superstar.
He is the
in my
superstar
life.
in your life. So what do you love about him as a father?
As a father, I mean, it's sexy as heck, I will say. He gives his all, even when he's exhausted somehow. Like our son is always like, dad, constantly.
Right.
And somehow it just never frustrates Eric. You know, he's just very calm and he understands that he's needed and he knows how to be present with the children, and he knows how to teach them. Like,
How did you like the thing is, how did you? I know your opening night when you met, but if you look at the series of relationships you had,
mhm.
and then you end up with Eric,
Yeah.
like
I
how
needed some.
for anyone out there who's they'll say, "Oh, I had the wrong picker. I'm not picking the right people."
Well,
Why do
maybe
you
you're
think?
not.
Maybe you aren't.
Maybe you aren't.
But how did
Um,
this?
yeah, I mean, for me, I thought that I was attracted to saving people. And
Mm,
being a preacher's daughter and always being a leader in my life and to my calling and being on a public platform, I always felt like, I was attracted to people that needed light and that they were dark and all they needed was some faith and some understanding of how to be happy. And I thought that I could bring that
into a
into a
relationship.
relationship. But I realized that we could only do that for ourselves. It took me a long time to realize it. And it took me a lot of heartbreak,
Was
even.
there a moment of clarity for you when you realized that?
Well, I realized that I wasn't being loyal to myself, that I was losing my light, that I was giving away too much of my light to cover their darkness, and they were taking it from me. And when I felt myself all of a sudden with the lights dim, I was lost,
Yeah.
and I needed to find my way back to myself. And for me, before I met Eric, I had to just disconnect from all the heartbreak in my life and disconnect from the people that, I felt needed saving and look inward and learn how to really love and appreciate myself for who I am and the woman that I want to be.
So what do
And
you just jumping on that? What do you love to do with Eric the most?
well, I mean, we're best friends. So I mean,
It's anything.
it's anything. It's literally like we could binge watch something and
Yeah.
or we could watch like an amazing documentary and even have different views and like, talk about it and then somehow end up having the same view.
Right.
And because we really listen to each other. And I think that's really important in relationships. If you're doing all the talking,
Mm.
you're not listening to another person's perspective and vice versa. So I think that, if you find a partner that you really want to listen to and that really is saying something that's meaningful and
Right.
coming from the same place that you're coming from, it makes conversation a beautiful thing.
Right.
That's very powerful in our life, and we are just connected like mind, body, and soul. And that I never had with anyone. That like spiritual connection through even like love making babies kind of love,
Right.
and just through amazing conversation and through just being there for each other no matter what and loving each other just as much as we did the day we met. Like
I
somehow it was just like immediate.
and that's what I love about your story is, there's a lot of people listening who struggle,
Hmm.
who've maybe been in relationships that haven't worked out, and they start to internalize it and blame themselves.
Hmm.
And the fact that you're in a relationship with a man
Hmm.
who you deeply love, he deeply loves you. He quit drinking the day you quit
Yes, he
drinking.
did.
And is there anything you miss about the days? Like I know for me, not that I miss being a hot
Hmm.
mess, right? And I don't, but it's like there's certain moments, right?
Hmm.
There's certain triggers we have. For people who quit smoking, it could be after a cup of coffee.
Right.
Or is there any moments for you where you're like, oh gosh, I kind of miss it?
No,
Never.
not yet. I mean, and it's almost 2.5 years.
Wow. And
So,
do you still have so you described that you always drink out of a sparkle cup.
well, yeah, I make everything fancy.
Right.
It wasn't to hide it. I was never the person that would like hide their drinks. I mean, I would tell people that I was pouring
But
it,
like did the sparkle cups have like an RIP party where it was like
Yes, they did.
they did? Are there still sparkle
Yes.
cups in the house?
No, there is
Oh, they're
not.
gone.
Yeah, they're gone.
Because you cleared out the alcohol and the sparkle
And the
cup.
sparkle
That's
cups.
awesome.
Yeah, because I
You
had
got rid of all of it.
anything that would like remind
Yeah.
me of that, like it would just bring me down.
Yeah.
So I had to rid myself of it completely. But, once I started being comfortable in it, then I was fine. I one thing that I didn't like while getting sober was that everybody was so weird around me. They were like they couldn't be themselves.
Right.
I'm like, please have the drink. I don't want it. I promise.
Yeah.
But they were trying to be supportive, but they were also like
Acting
tiptoeing
so
around me.
weird.
But I am very conscious of that. And so when somebody's not being themselves around me, it makes me feel uncomfortable.
Right.
So really that makes me feel more uncomfortable. I'd much rather people be drinking around me than not, because
Yeah.
I want them to be authentic and be themselves and not change to be around me, because that for me, it just feels like they're pitying me in some
Mhm.
way. And so now we have parties at our house and we still have alcohol and that type of thing. But for me, it's never been something that I've wanted to go back to.
Do you celebrate your 2 years sober? Do you have
No,
like a
I don't have
sober?
like coins, or I don't even.
You
I
don't have
know
a
the
sober party?
date. I don't have a sober party, but I couldn't tell you. I know it's like something like 2.5 years, but I
Yeah,
don't.
yeah.
Yeah, I don't have like that reminder. Like at the beginning, it was like, oh my gosh, it's been 30 days,
Right.
or oh my
Can't
gosh,
believe it.
you're like, oh, okay, this is what they're talking about at 90 days or
Right.
something. But then I lost track.
Right. And what's the biggest surprise to being a mom?
Well, being a mother is very, challenging. It is, because you want to be the best that you possibly can be, and you have to bite your tongue sometimes, and
Right.
you have to, you have to like get on their level to really understand. But really, I think our children are so much wiser than us. If I could go back to being a child and having that childlike faith, and that's what I've tried to rediscover through my journey of sobriety, is all the childlike faith that I have without the judgment, because I grew up very Southern Baptist. But because I didn't start drinking until I was 21, so I was legal,
Right.
and then my parents or anybody, like we didn't drink at all.
Yeah.
So when we did, then it was like, it just kind of all like started to escalate, and we were having fun, and Eric and I, like, we had a lot of fun.
Yeah.
I'm not mad at our experiences together, and we were madly in love with each other through it all. But I have to say that sex is so much better sober.
Right. You
You
can
feel a
remember
lot
it.
more. You can
Your
remember
partner
it.
can function.
Yes.
The breath is better.
The breath is way better.
And the movements aren't as sloppy.
No.
You got really honest. Why did you feel the need to talk about all the events that happened in your child? What's your hope by talking about the events in your childhood?
About sexual abuse.
Yeah.
Well, I was about 5 or 6 when it started, and it was with a girl that was my age who was actually being abused in a much more intense way. But I tried to protect her through it, even though I was being abused. And I really wanted to speak out about it as a parent, because it's very important to know that some of the closest people in your life you need to keep a watch on, because you don't know what's happening in other people's families.
Yeah.
And I really wanted to speak on it, because my daughter is at the age where I was being, sexually abused, and I can't even imagine that happening to her. And I just wanted mothers and fathers to realize that, it can happen to anyone, even though you think you're fiercely protecting them. It just sometimes can happen when the
And
lights are off.
what do you think the signs are
Um,
for a parent to know, kind of?
for a parent to know, I think that you have to talk to your children about it. I think that it's important to say that nobody should be touching you in this way. If they ever come at you and say you want to play doctor, or you want, this is not a good situation to be in.
Yeah.
You always have to tell mommy and daddy if somebody ever tries to touch you. And I know that's an uncomfortable thing for some parents to talk to their children about, but the earlier you talk to your children about it, the easier it is for them to be honest with you.
Well, you talked about when you told your parents, which it seems like it was really uncomfortable for them. even though you won
Yes.
$1,500.
I did. I won the lottery right
Yeah.
after I told it
Will you tell that
to my
story of
parents, but
what happened?
I could have told them earlier, but I waited until I was 12, and it was just all so much shame, and I was just
It
I
had gone on
couldn't
for 6
it had
years.
gone on for 6 years, and I just couldn't I wasn't strong enough to handle it anymore, and I
Mm,
knew it needed to stop, and, I was feeling guilty about it, and being a preacher's daughter, like, I didn't know that if that I thought my parents would be like, you know I thought it was a sin. I thought I was gonna go to hell or something, you
right.
know?
Oh, yeah.
So
It's terrifying.
yeah, and I lived in this, like, glass fishbowl as a
And you were
child.
probably feeling guilty, like, "What
I
did
was
you
feeling
do?" Or
guilty because it was, like, a lot of it was a lot of, like, sexual things and sexual feelings that no child should be going through, and I didn't want my parents to feel guilt, but there came a time where I had to stand up for myself, and, my parents really didn't know what to say, and my sister was in the car with us, she had her headphones on, and I'm just kind of the person that blurts something out.
right.
And I just said it, like, I
Yeah.
was just like, "Okay, like, God give me the strength," you
And why
know?
that day? Like, what was it, just a
It
buildup
had
where you're
just
like, "I need to,"
happened.
it just happened,
Mhm.
but this time it was like,
This
"Enough is
time it
enough."
was very, very dark, and I just felt, pinned down, and I felt anxious, and I didn't know what to do, and it was time to tell my parents because I knew that they would stop it. In that moment, I was old enough to realize that it wasn't my fault, and, my parents were strong enough to realize that they could stop it, and,
Yeah.
in the moment that I told them, they didn't say anything, but they immediately their actions took they took over, and I never was there again. And,
Were
that's
you
all.
hoping they talked to you about it at that time? Were you hoping they kind
No,
of
because it was uncomfortable, and, um, I wouldn't have had it any other way. I mean, this was definitely the way for me, and the best way my parents could handle it
Mhm.
was to take me away from it, and if I wish I were to have known sooner that that's all that it took,
Mhm.
was to just talk openly about it to my parents,
Right.
and that it wasn't about judgment, and that I could be honest. And I mean, I was 12 years old, so I was a little bit older than when I was confused when I was 6 or 7.
Yeah, I mean, you're so brave to talk about it. Most you didn't need to include it in your book. You didn't have to tell that story because there's you have a lot of stories,
Yeah, I have a
and
lot of
you
stories, but I
chose to put
did.
in a story that a
Mhm.
lot of people feel shame and guilt around.
And they still hold on to it, and that's a lot of the reason why people do have issues with substances, and they do try to numb themselves from these experiences they've had. But I think that once you have clarity on them, and once you can
Mhm.
forgive yourself, and once you can forgive what's happened to you, you can move forward and try to make a change in other people's lives, and find some sort of positivity, in the pain,
Yeah.
and know that you can be an advocate for helping others.
You are an advocate
Thank
because
you.
you're taking it from the darkness even of the experience, you're bringing it to the light, and that light is what people listen to.
Yeah.
And people will read your book or hear the story, and they're gonna start asking their kids.
Mhm.
And
And
if
that's
ki
good. That's
and
exactly
you're
what
gonna
I
have people
wanted.
who are older who are gonna tell their parents, or they're gonna
Good.
go to
Yes, I've
therapy.
and a lot of the in stores that I've been doing, and meeting people that weren't even my fans, but just read this one excerpt from the book. They're there, and they're saying, "I'm talking to my daughters about this tonight," and it's really powerful because I've had people come up to me like, "I want to tell you that I need to stop drinking before I tell my parents,"
Mm,
and these are grown adults, and it's like, just by me being open, it's allowing people to open their own doors and
yeah.
to walk through them.
And do you feel like since you've gotten sober, the voices around, like, body image and anxiety, like, has that quieted more
It
or
definitely is quieted more, but I mean, I am only human, of course. I
Mhm.
mean, I still have anxiety about things, and I still, can look in the mirror and not see perfection by any means. And we all, I mean, I'm just like everybody else in that regard, and I have to do it
Oh,
publicly.
me too. So trust me.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
but what do you do? What is a kind of tool that you have for dealing with anxiety for yourself?
It's really connecting with myself through writing. It's journaling for me has been a huge part of understanding myself and forgiving myself. And like I can let words out without judgment over myself. And the thing is that when we judge ourselves, we close off so much. And I think that when we are free to just be open to be who we are, there's so much more acceptance in that,
Mhm.
especially nowadays. And it doesn't all have to be hidden, and secrets will eat us alive,
Secrets keep
and
us sick.
they keep us really sick. And I think that once we, you know, talk through those secrets, even if it's talking through them with yourself,
Mhm.
there's a lot of power in that.
And do you think it's just this is a random question I'm curious about, and then we're gonna do the universe decides wheel, which is super random
Okay.
questions. Um, do you think that um, entertainment and the pressures of being in entertainment make it harder for someone to be really honest about their lives?
Um, it could, but it shouldn't.
Shouldn't.
It shouldn't because you were blessed with the platform that you have for a reason, and to use it for something good like activism, whatever it may be, or leadership, or, openness, awareness. I think that that's the reason why we are here, like with whether it's with acting and you're moving somebody through a movie role,
Mhm.
or whether you're writing music and touching people's hearts and pulling them out of the darkness. There's so many ways in which we can inspire others.
And any part of the book that I know you love the whole book as another author. I know you got it's like I mean, I've never given birth, but everyone says giving
Yeah,
doing the book is like giving birth. It's a lot
it
of
is. It feels like I had baby number 4 really soon after baby number 3.
and in
So
baby number 4, is there any moment that you're thinking about the book? Like I know when I wrote a book, there were certain moments where I was like, I love that part of the book. Do you have anything like that where you're like that part of the book?
well, I mean, there's a lot of places that make me feel free,
Yeah.
and one of the times where it was like where I was just like I'm the kind of person that's like, oh, like I know that if I just make this decision and follow my heart, that I'll get something in return,
Right.
like no matter what it is. And through my divorce, a long time ago, I was like, okay, maybe I should have signed a prenup. And
Mm.
there's a funny part in the book where it was like, I know that I will make this back, give or take a billion. And that part just kind of makes me giggle because nobody believed me that I could make that money back. But I was like, trust me, I will make that money
No,
back.
it's
I will make that money
unbelievable.
back.
The amount of reinventions you've done in your career are
Hmm.
unbelievable.
Well, I really do have faith in myself, and I really do believe that once we surrender to something to better ourselves, that we will get something back in
Mm.
return. It doesn't have to be financial. I mean, we will get happiness back. We will, or happiness for the first time by letting
Mm.
go of something.
And it seems like you have a lot of that happiness through your friends, through your family. I mean, you have a lot of friends.
I do. Well, I really have like a close knit group of friends. I mean, I am still guarded, um, but I'm pretty darn honest,
Yeah.
and I have always been that way. And I think that's why people can relate to me because they're just like, oh, I go through that too. And
Right.
I love it that she can talk about that. But she's famous. And I like, it's like, it's a really cool thing that people actually connect with me and feel like they're my best friend because I'm sharing with them like they are my best friends.
Yeah. Well, let's end this with the wheel.
Okay.
It's a universe decides wheel. You basically spin it, and on
Yeah.
it are different things that are just random questions from some fans.
Okay.
So click spin.
Okay. Where's that? Oh, spin it.
All right. The question is
One thing worth line?
What
does that mean?
This is called an epic fail on the Coach Mike podcast.
I know I
Oh,
just wrote a book, but that does
I
not
think
feel like a
I think we
complete
eliminate
question.
that. That definitely was not a complete question. Do one, maybe one more
Okay, all right.
spin. No, but you know, in your luck, you had to choose the one that made absolutely no sense.
Okay, spin it. Oh no.
Do you have a celeb impersonation?
Mm. Mm. All righty then. That's the only thing I could think of, Jim Carrey.
Jim Carrey. All right,
And that was a horrible impersonation.
I had to look around, but we got it. And the last time, one last spin.
Okay.
All right. What do you TV binge watch?
TV binge watch. I mean, a lot.
Jessica Simpson binge watches with her husband.
Oh, with my husband? I don't know if he would want to be counted in that. He normally falls asleep during binge watching.
Oh, okay.
Gosh, what do I binge watch? I mean, I watch a lot of doctor shows, so I feel like I could save a lot of lives.
Got it. So
Yeah.
doctor shows are your vibe.
Yeah.
All right. Well,
I mean, I know that I am very knowledgeable because I can use a lot of these things that I learned from Grey's Anatomy.
well, listen, I appreciate you making the time to come on the Coach Mike podcast. It was a pleasure talking to you.
Thank you.
I really appreciate it. And,
nice to talk to
bye,
you too.
Jessica
And thank you for
Simpson's
all that
book.
you do for so many people.
Thank you so much.
Yes.
Open book. Check it out. Buy it.
I say it all with a smile.
All right.
No,
Thanks.
I do cry a lot. If you get the audiobook.
No, I know.
I feel like I should have put like a disclaimer in there or something that says like pull over now. You know, like because you're gonna cry.
If you're gonna read the book, certain chapters you don't want to be in a coffee shop.
No.
Be in your home.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you, Jessica.
Thank you.